Hi there guys! Today I want to help you get started with playing and understanding scales. And I'm going to walk you through some of the most important things you should think about when learning new scales. And on top of that, hopefully we're going to do some Q&A and just have a good time. So while we wait a little bit for people to join, I'm going to play a scale. And by the way, I've connected a microphone to the camera now, so hopefully that works better. If it doesn't, if you can't hear me well, please give me a shout and I'll just pull that microphone out. Okay, so I'm sure I'm not the only one when starting out who went searching for scale diagrams. Nowadays, you would do it online. You would search for your pentatonic scale, your minor scale, your major scale. And you found this diagram with a whole bunch of dots and you're wondering how the heck you're going to be able to connect those dots to actually playing something on the guitar. And you start, it's like, and it's a slow process, and most importantly, it doesn't sound anywhere where you want it, what you want it to do. Basically, you want it to sound cool, but it sounds crap. So what are you gonna do? Well, you're gonna stick around and I'll walk you through the steps. So first of all, the scale diagram you're going to find online is most likely not going to give you all the information you need. It doesn't contain any information about fingering. It doesn't tell you, what passing notes you can add. It doesn't tell you, the best technique for playing the specific scale. It only really shows you like a way to visualize the dots on the guitar. Just want to see. There we go. So, all the other stuff, you have to figure it out on your own. And that's what we're going to do now. So, first of all, you might notice yourself that it looks a little bit weird if I play a scale like this, right? That's probably not a good idea. Although, you can get around that way. It doesn't really make sense not to use all the tools at our disposal. If you have fingers, you should use them. The better tools you have, the easier the job is going to be. Now, there are definitely examples of guitarists in history who didn't have all their fingers and who still did a fantastic job. So Django Reinhardt springs to mind. But if you have your fingers, use them. So the easiest way to view this is, a lot of scales positions cover roughly 4 frets. So you should assign 1 finger per fret. That's a good rule. Now, if the scale position covers 5 frets, that's not a biggie. You can somewhat cover, follow the same principle, and you can allow yourself a little bit of flexibility in there. Okay, we got that out of the way. You don't want to be using 1 finger and move that around. Instead, you want to assign 1 finger per fret. And this is greatly going to increase your chances of, being able to play that scale, even if you're not looking at the fretboard. As you can tell, I don't have to look because I've learned those scales. I've assigned my fingers to the different scale positions, the different frets, and I know where they are. So that's the power of doing it right from the beginning. You're sort of programming your muscle memory to do the right thing so that you can use your brain for more important stuff like music or just thinking about what you're going to eat. Sorry. So anyhow, that's a very good rule. 1 finger per fret. Now, scale diagrams don't really tell you anything about what to do with your right hand either. They don't tell you whether you should be playing, like that, or maybe whatever. There's no such information. Now, when illustrating that, I showed you first downstrokes and then upstrokes, and all those are actually fine. In fact, the most common way of playing a scale for the first time that I see among beginners is usually to just play downstrokes like that. Now, playing downstrokes perfectly fine, but there are some limitations tied to them. Granted, if you get good at playing downstrokes, you can play I don't know, metal or something. You can play your rock and roll riffs. So you can play some bluesy stuff. It's all good stuff, but it's a bit limiting to only play downstrokes. Okay? So you don't only want to restrict yourself to just playing downstrokes. Now the reason I'm saying this is because, as I said, I've seen a lot of people start out playing downstrokes, and then when they later down the line realize that playing other types of strokes is also a good idea, then they kind of feel that they've missed that train. They feel they've gotten so good at playing just downstrokes, so they want to keep doing that. Suparna, what's up? Some Yngwie Malmsteen I can try. It's tricky on the acoustic guitar. So what I was saying was that these people a lot of times are going to feel that, well, I spent so much time understanding how to play the scale using only downstrokes. So maybe like this. So I don't want to start doing upstrokes, And that's a shame. You don't ever want to put yourself in that situation. And if I were, in that situation, I would probably still kind of go back and do it the right way. Just because I know that lifting that limitation is extremely useful. Not only if you want to play Yngwie Malmsteen, as suggested here, then you definitely want to do some down and up strokes. But just anything on the guitar, you want to add a little bit of speed, That's going to be very hard to do using downstrokes. So, okay. But as I said, nothing wrong with practicing with downstrokes. In fact, I do that a lot. Practice like this. And I also do the opposite, practice only with upstrokes, It's a great way to hone in on those different kind of techniques. But the goal is always, for me at least, to be flexible so that I can do both. I can do down and up strokes. I can do all that good stuff. Your double stops are great. Thanks, Suparna. Thanks so much, man. So, we've established that when learning scales, it's a good idea to not restrict yourself to only playing downstrokes or only playing upstrokes. In fact, it's a really good idea as you're practicing a scale to also practice your picking techniques. So in other words, while you're trying to, repeat those notes to memorize them, you also practice your picking technique. So down, up, down, up, down, up. Could look something like this. So, it's all about using your time efficiently. If you're having an issue, then it's good to hone in on a specific technique. But if you're not trying to fix a technique and you're just trying to get a hang of a scale, then I recommend you follow these guidelines. Assign 1 finger per fret, as I told you in the beginning. Do practice both down and up strokes. And you're going to find that your technique is going to, you're going to get your technique together. Now, it takes a lot of time. But the good news is that once you nail this, you've kind of taught your muscle memory the right way. And that has some amazing benefits. That's, the reason why I can pretty much, play and talk. My fingers, they know what to do because they have it programmed in their muscle memory. So whenever you're confronted with like a stressful situation, it might be, with the band on stage, whatever, then that muscle memory is going to serve you extremely well. So lots of good reasons to do it right from the beginning. And I think these are some very important guidelines. Okay, so but are there other ways you can play scales? And the answer is, of course, yes. There's a million different ways. And I told you that this method is a bad one, and I still stick to that. But you could, for the sake of variation, play a scale using sliding. So maybe So wait a minute, Chris. That's not consistent. You just told us we shouldn't move a finger around. Yes, that's correct. But if you're looking for this specific sound, then you want to use sliding, because what sliding does, it gives you a lot of notes as you're traveling up and down the neck. In fact, I would argue it's probably the most efficient technique if you want to cover these notes. You know, that might be tricky to play, but doing is easier, right? We're playing the... so actually when you're sliding, you're getting all these notes for free, these chromatic notes that color your sound. So this is a really exciting way to, I think, move around in the scale. You can practice both the standard way, like I told you, assigning one finger per fret, practicing down and up strokes. That's all fine, but you can also do because it's a really nice effect to be able to throw in, and it's extremely useful. It basically gives you more flavors. And as I said in the beginning, the more tools, the merrier. This tool is extremely cool for phrasing and building phrases if you're in control of sliding. In fact, if you do like sliding, you might want to check one of the recent videos I published on this channel, where I really break it down and give you some cool example of licks where I utilize sliding on the electric guitar. Cool. Hopefully this gives you a good starting point. I don't want to give you too much at once. I think if you're just getting started trying to figure out scales, these are some good and important guidelines. The only final advice I want to give you is we haven't spoken a lot about harmony here, but whenever you're practicing a scale, it's a very good idea to hear the root notes as your foundation. So if you're trying to learn like the E minor scale, then you might want to start, or you should start, with the note of E. Now in this specific case, it's kind of easy because you can just hit that low E string, and whatever you play, you're going to hear the right bass note. But when you're playing some other scale, like say the B minor scale, then start with the root note. And usually when you check out a scale diagram, it's going to tell you where the root note is, maybe like a different color. A lot of times it's red, or on GMC it's green. So that's a way to identify it. Cool, we had a question there. 3 most important scales. So let's see. I would say that if you're playing the guitar, the most important scale might be the pentatonic scale. It's an important scale because it allows you to get started quickly. It's an easy scale that is used a lot. There are a lot of cool licks, specifically blues and blues rock licks, and even metal licks in that. So the pentatonic scale would be number 1. Then I would go for the minor scale. That's probably my all-time favorite scale. And then the major scale. And if I had to squeeze in like a not so common scale, it would probably be the harmonic minor scale. That's a really cool scale as well. It's used a lot, but it's also the foundation for a lot of cool, metal harmony. For instance, one of the modes from the harmonic minor scale is the Phrygian dominant. A lot of cool metal riffs in the Phrygian dominant, and a lot of cool solos, think Yngwie Malmsteen and that kind of stuff. Hi, can you show some juicy chord like Hendrix chord, please, for creating some 80s rock riffs? So what I like to think of, I'm not sure that's an 80s rock riff, but it's one of my favorite little Hendrixy things to do. And it's actually in the key of E major. So it's major. A lot of times guitarists play in the key of E minor, but this is major. So basically what that means is you have your trusty pentatonic box here on starting on the 9th fret. So if you hit that low E string and then play your pentatonic box on the 9th fret, you get that sound of E major pentatonic. Now what I'm gonna do is play double stops here, and that's what takes it into Hendrix land. So if you want to replicate that, you can actually do this little mini barré or like a double stop here on the 9th fret. 9th fret D and G string, and then you're gonna hammer on the 11th fret D string, and that's when you get. Now it's important here to not play the notes evenly, so you shouldn't do like that. That sounds kind of boring, and it's definitely not the Hendrix way of doing it. I mean, sure, you can do that in a solo, it's gonna be fine, but I'm thinking of these like a Hey Joe inspired. So then what you want to do is play unevenly. So right after you you play the double stop, you're also hammering on. So you get. So this is a really nice one. You can play with your E chord, and then you can slide that E chord up to the 5th fret. So you do. And that's also a little Hendrixy trick there to just move that E major chord up to the 5th fret. Still play those open strings, then move it down a half fret to the 4th fret, and then finally back to the normal open position. So that's a little Hendrixy trick for you. I don't know if it helps you out in your riff making, but it's definitely one of the Hendrixisms that I use the most. And just it works really nice, of course, if you're an electric guitar, you play a Strat and you have a little bit of breakup distortion there. Really nice. But it works well on the acoustic guitar as well, I think. Cool. So I think this was a pretty awesome session here, because we covered everything from just starting out with scales to actually making use of those scales in like a musical application. And I hope you forgive me for my messy studio. I don't know why, but in Facebook and Instagram I have the option to actually blur out the background, but that's not the case here. So you get to see it all, which I guess is fine. I also want to thank you guys for all the recent comments on my uploads. I've seen a lot of increased activity, which is awesome. It's good because it tells me where you want to go with all this content. So whenever you leave feedback, that's a good indication you want more of it. Or, you know, if you don't want more of it, you can also tell me that. I want more Hendrixy stuff and less Yngwie Malmsteen stuff. You can say that, and then I know. Cool, guys. So I hope to see you soon again. I've been Christopher Dahl, and you've been a lovely audience here in this stream. I hope to see you soon again here on this channel, and of course on the GMC website. Have a good one. Cheers.